Yeah, all I need is one mic. Yeah, all I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to a new episode of One Mic where I watch shit so you don't have to. And today I'm here to talk about the new Disney Plus series from Star Wars entitled The Bad Batch. I watched season 1, episode 1. It's called Aftermath. We got actually a pretty lengthy episode here. The Disney Plus original series, as far as what we got so far from the Mandalorian and the Marvel properties, we're usually getting fairly short episodes. This one was a pretty robust. I think it was like an hour 15, something like that, with a normal duration of credits. So we got a lot of content here, but it was fun, man. I really enjoyed this show. Being transparent with you guys, I'm big into Star Wars, but I have not seen very much of Rebels or the Clone Wars. So this is kind of I'm gonna call it, even though it's not technically my first, I'm gonna kind of call this like my first foray into the animated universe of Star Wars. Like I said, I've seen the others on and off, but I have not seen it in its entirety, either of them. So there's a lot of lore that exists within that world that I'm not familiar with. But fortunately, for those of you who might be wondering if you need to have watched those shows to gain enjoyment from this one, so far the answer is a pretty resounding no. I thought this episode was really fun and really enjoyable, and I don't know shit about about the other two. So yeah, it was cool, man. So generally, for those of you who may not know, this show takes place post the Clone Wars. It revolves around this group of five clones who are not into the are not into doing as they're told. The series opens with the execution of Order 66, which, if you're a Star Wars fan, there's no need for me to tell you what that is. And if you're not a Star Wars fan, you'll find out if you decide to watch this show. But yeah, it opens up with the order of execution, or the execution of order, the execution of Order 66, and the Bad Batch, this clone group, they don't go with it. The leader of the group, Hunter, spares a young Padawan, and another member of the group, Crosshair, seems to come onto. I don't know why my head is so itchy right now. Another member of the group seems to catch on to that. He seems to be kind of like partially affected by Order 66. The other four are just like, I don't know what I don't know what everybody else is doing. We're fine. But Crosshair seemed to be like almost like conflicted. Like he wanted to follow the order, but was kind of able to restrain himself to some degree, which is an interesting aspect of the show going forward. Is Crosshair going to be a trusted and loyal member of this group, or is he going to become kind of like an offshoot? Is he going to become someone who's part of the group that can't be trusted? Is he going to become an enemy altogether? And this episode does not answer that question. It only it kind of points us further in the direction of Crosshair becoming a bad guy, and I don't perceive that to be the case. I think that they will eventually find a way to get him to come around and maybe remove whatever alterations were made to him in this episode to get him a little bit more back to normal. But I'm not going to delve into the plot too much because I don't want to give anything away. The purpose of this right now is to tell you guys whether or not I think this show is worth watching. And up front, yes, like it has some really fun action sequences. You have a really good plot with, at least so far, with the intrigue of how this group is going to survive as kind of like rebels within the Empire or outside of the Empire now. What is going to happen with Crosshair? Is he going to, return to the group back to normal? Is he going to continue to be a bad guy or someone whose loyalties are in question? We got General Tarkin here. He's dead set on getting those guys up out of here. So you got really good questions there, wondering, why Crosshair was somewhat partially affected. They touch on it a little bit, but I don't think they go into like really great detail. But it's going to be interesting to see these guys traveling the universe, dealing with the repercussions of Order 66 and what the universe looks like now. So this should be fun, and it's fun action sequences, lots of action sequences in here. We get to see the group kind of like perform in an unorthodox manner from the other clones, which was fun. The group itself is fun. Like I really fun is like the central theme here. The group is fun. Each of the individual members of the group are all endearing in one way or another. Even Crosshair, even though Crosshair is not endearing in the traditional sense, he's endearing as a character because he's interesting. So even though it's not like, oh, I love Crosshair, he's so warm and cuddly, like, you're not gonna get that vibe. But Crosshair is an interesting character. So even in that respect, Crosshair is endearing as well. So yeah, the group is entertaining. I like it's like they already have chemistry, and even from the very beginning of the episode, you can tell that they have chemistry, which is pretty cool. So I don't really know what else to really talk about as far as this goes without spoiling anything, other than to just say like it was about an hour 15. I enjoyed every minute of it. I was not bored. I wasn't looking at my watch. I find the central characters, to all be entertaining, intriguing, or just they're a good group collectively. I find at least the plot that appears to have been laid out in this first episode. I don't know how this is going to extend throughout the season. I believe I read somewhere there's going to be 16 episodes. I don't know how this is going to extend throughout the season, but at least the plot that was presented to me in this first episode, I find to be incredibly interesting. I don't know if that's just going to be used as like a starting point for like maybe like individual missions in each episode, kind of like The Mandalorian does, but with still like a long-term kind of storyline that's going to play out as well, or if it's just going to be just this one thing playing out. I don't know, but that's been laid out. It's pretty interesting as well. The action sequences are fun. The only thing that I found to be a little distracting is the best word for it. The only thing I found to be a little bit distracting is the appearance and voices of some of the characters. They have I don't know, again, this character might be someone who existed in Clone Wars or something like that, but there's a Padawan named Caleb that appears in the beginning of the episode, and it looks like a maybe like a 12-year-old kid. They call him Kid over and over and over. He's a Padawan, but this dude has a voice of like a 45-year-old, and I'm like you couldn't cast a kid to do this voice? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, this kid does not sound like a kid at all, and that was incredibly distracting. I'm like, what is this man voice coming out of this child? And then they have another character named Omega who has kind of like an accent, which is fine, but it's like, for some reason, the accent doesn't seem like the way a person with that accent would talk. It almost sounds like a computer trying to imitate that accent. Not to mention, this character kind of looks like Justin Bieber, which is like really, really weird too. Like in my notes, I have like Bieber Omega, like they call her Omega, but I call her Bieber Omega in my notes. Because like she looked like Justin Bieber back when Justin Bieber like was a kid, like when he first came out. But other than that, Omega, and Omega looks a little weird too. But other than like some like sketchy, I don't want to call it sketchy animation. It's different. It's consistent with what you see in Rebels and Clone Wars. But I don't know. For me, it looks a little weird at times. Like sometimes, like when they try to do people, sometimes the people look like a certain style of animation, and then sometimes they look like they brought in like one of the B animators to do this specific person. It's kind of weird, but the animation can be a little weird looking at times with the people. But when you have like backgrounds, ships, space, all that stuff, it looks great. So I don't know. Like I said, with Omega, it kind of seems like they brought in like the B team to animate Omega, and yeah, and like I said, like they just brought like they literally brought in Justin Bieber and he just drew himself. But yeah, it's a fun show. I don't know if it's something I'm going to cover week to week on this channel. That's going to be something that I'm going to probably determine in between now and the next episode. But it's definitely something I'm going to be watching every week. So if you're a Star Wars fan, yeah, you're gonna like this one. So and if you're a fan of Rebels and Clone Wars, you've probably already watched it. You already bought it, and you don't even need my advice. But yeah, if you're a Star Wars fan who's like seen all the movies and whatnot, and you're kind of like, is this animated show something I want to get into? Or maybe you haven't seen Clone Wars or Rebels and you're not sure. I'm here to tell you, so far so good. It's a good one. I enjoyed it. It was real fun. I look forward to several, hopefully 30+ minute episodes of this show. It should be a good time. So I may be back next week covering episode 2. I don't know. We'll see. That'll be a decision that I'll make in between now and then. And if that time comes, I'll see you then. Peace.